This is one of the most popular board games in the world. Monopoly, a ruthless tabletop game where, to win, you need to bankrupt your opponents, normally friends and family, by owning a majority of properties on the board and making them pay rent anytime that they land on it. But on one corner of this board, you have a strange square, different from all the others, that says free parking. As you make your way along the board, no matter who owns what, the free parking space remains a public good. This is the only place on the entire board where you can land and absolutely nothing happens. As the game progresses and your opponents buy more of the properties, this square becomes a safe zone, making free parking a huge perk. And this principle goes far beyond the game, because much like Monopoly, the value of parking is very misunderstood. So here are the top 5 biggest myths around parking. Myth 1. Roads are public spaces, so parking on roads should be free. Well, actually, a public resource needs to maximize benefits for the whole community. So, just like the Monopoly board, once you start filling up a street with more people, that's other cars, pedestrians, cyclists, your parking space becomes a particularly expensive bit of public land. So, you owe the city a rental amount. Driving on roads is everyone's right, but parking on them is not. And this is closely followed with myth 2. Parking costs are too high. This requires a little bit of perspective. Everything is more expensive abroad, but the average cost of parking is high even by their standards. In Amsterdam, for example, 2 hours of parking in a city center could cost you over 1100 rupees. By comparison, in India, we would pay only about 40 rupees. The average parking space is about 10 square meters, which, by the way, could fit 8 to 10 bicycles. In an area like Green Park, New Delhi, this would cost about 10 to 13,000 rupees per month, or roughly 430 rupees per day. But instead, you are normally charged at most 200 rupees a day to park your car here. That's a 65% discount. But creating restrictions on parking will surely impact business in the area, right? Well, that's myth 3. Taking the example of Church Street in Bangalore, turning this street into a pedestrian-only area actually allowed more visitors into the space, and over half of the shop owners here have reported an increase in footfall. So these parking restrictions actually helped both buyers and sellers with easier access. The lack of direct road access in this area encourages people to use public transport, in turn reducing pollution and creating a safer, healthier space for people to visit. With the pollution in Delhi getting worse each year, this is in itself a huge reason for us to disincentivize the use of private fossil fuel based vehicles and move to a more sustainable mobility network that would include walking, cycling, and the use of public transport like the metro and buses. Speaking of which, myth 4. Mass rapid transit stations need park and ride facilities. The idea that people wouldn't use the metro without park and ride facilities has shown to be quite untrue. In fact, most such facilities at metro stations are underutilized and may even encourage the unnecessary use of private vehicles. As an example, only 3% of metro users from the Green Park station use private vehicles. Most of them walk, and while these park and ride facilities may be a necessity for less densely populated locations, in most populated areas, it just adds to the pollution. Myth 5 is that pollution can't reach you inside your car. Pollution is 9 to 12 times higher inside a closed vehicle than the outside. The fans in a car actually suck in the exhaust fumes from vehicles around you and trap the toxic gases inside the car. In Delhi, vehicle emissions constitute 51% of particulate matter, so better parking plans are a way to reduce these emissions and help everyone, especially car users, breathe better and mitigate the many health risks of high AQI conditions. An alternative for many people is cycling, which can help you reduce your carbon footprint while simultaneously keeping you in shape. And that brings us to myth 6, the big one. One person can't do anything about all of this. By demanding clean, gender-sensitive and accessible transport through a unified voice, we can help to change the systems that are driving up pollution while negatively affecting access to public transport. We must urge decision makers in urban local bodies to build political will and strongly advocate for parking management. The Center for Sustainable and Equitable Cities is determined to create change and have created a highly efficient parking plan for the area near the Green Park metro station. Here is your chance to apply this newfound knowledge and create a better future for the city. CSEC recommends an increase in the cost of on-street parking. Simultaneously, the plan promotes off-road parking for long-term users who need to park in the area. This will enable easier access to the metro line and and ensure the ease and safety of cyclists and pedestrians, creating an environment that nurtures more sustainable mobility. As Indian cities invest in walking, cycling, and public transport, parking management can become a tool that connects these initiatives and helps guide people towards their use. But to achieve this, we need the support of the community. Projects like this are only possible when we stand together, and in the long run, we hope to take a big step to help Delhi breathe.